Hey gang, this is Todd. I just wanted to let you know there's a couple of pieces of audio that didn't get recorded this week, so you're going to hear some glitches. It is not you, it is not your MP3 player, it is my podcast. I forgot to set up my backup, so there will be a couple of little glitches, but stick with me. It keeps going. Thanks. Enjoy the episode. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Todd Klindt's SharePoint podcast number 290, recorded live from my basement office in Ames, Iowa, the way the good Lord intended, Monday, April 25th, 2016. I'm your host, and thankfully back at it, Todd Klindt. No more of that suffering with Shane. We'll cover that later. I apologize. I understand there are some support groups out there, some Kickstarters to get you guys some help. I apologize for all that. We'll cover that later. But I'm back, and I'll be back here for a while, so you can rest assured on that. The reason that I was gone and the reason that I'm here also is the folks at Rackspace. You can go out to sharepoint.rackspace.com and find out what great things we offer at Rackspace all along SharePoint. But we don't just do SharePoint. That is the beauty of hosting your stuff at Rackspace. You can get some great SharePoint love. You can get some Exchange love. All kinds of things. So go out to www.rackspace.com/Microsoft, put that in your web browser, and find out about all the great things that we do. And while you're out there on the internet, you can go to toddklindt.com. You can go to twitter.com/ToddKlindt. I'm out there again someplace. I don't know where the hell I'm at, but I'm out there. I'm all over the internet. I think I'm the only Todd Klindt in the country that's got internet access. So pretty much if you just look for me, you could find me, and I'll be out there on the internet awaiting to hear from you, wanting to say hey and all that kind of stuff. Okay, on to production notes. Let me change my slides. Stay with me. All right, there we go. One of these days, I'll wire my clicker up to that, and we'll make that happen automatically. So for the last 2 weeks, you guys have been suffering through Shane's frail attempts at podcasting. I appreciate your patience. I appreciate your time. I thought it was better than dead air, and that honestly could be a coin flip most days. Though last week for number 289, he did a good thing. He brought Laura Rogers in, and I think she lent some credibility, some listenability to his podcasting. So thank you to Laura for tolerating Shane and making that all happen. I will tell you that for the two podcasts that Shane did, 288 and 289, if you're listening live but didn't then, the audio is kind of crackly. I can only assume that is some sort of self-defense mechanism on the internet or on YouTube or something to try to drown out the sound of his voice. I can assume it's electrons that are just fighting it off, boycotting the act of transmitting Shane's voice down the wire. I can only assume that that's what that is. So I apologize for that. I tried for a while to fix that. There's only so much you can do to fix Shane, and it was far past my scope of abilities. So the audio is a little crackly on those. I apologize, but we'll get Shane a good headset, maybe a new computer, teach him how to use it, one with a little bigger crank on the side so he can do a little better, and we'll get that set up. So that was the first production note, but those are out. The MP3s are out now. I'll get the videos out here in the next couple of days in the blog post, but the MP3s should be out there, and the feed has been updated. The second production note that I have is when we moved to 4 o'clock, there's been a lot of growing pains, though it's been good. I think for the most part, everybody would agree that the sooner you get this off your plate during the day, the better off you all are. One of the things that people asked about was moving to Slack for the chat. So right now we're in IRC. If you go to toddklindt.com/netcast, you can see the IRC channel in there. And if you use an IRC client like Merck or something, you can just jump right in. That's been working great. We've used IRC for 100 years, and it has been great. Slack is the new kid on the block, and I know Laura last week talked about how she's got her own Slack team. A few folks asked about setting up a Slack channel for the podcast to do our stuff there. I'm not against it. I use Slack all the time, every day. I've set up Slack teams myself. I do like Slack. The problem with Slack is you can't just join it like IRC. You have to be in the chat room. And so I'm considering revisiting Slack so that you guys can join in on the chat during the workday, because Slack is often not blocked. So let me know what you think about that. Hit me up at Todd Klindt or email me todd.klindt@rackspace.com and tell me if you think we should switch the chat room from old reliable IRC to fancy new cool shiny Slack. Let me know. All right, so moving on to the topics. Been a bunch of topics. So the last been gone the last couple of weeks. Not a lot of exciting things there. 2 weeks ago I was in the home office. I was in San Antonio at the castle doing some stuff, had some team meetings and things like that I had to do, and like a dummy I scheduled my flights across 4 o'clock. I just haven't gotten used to this being at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and not 8 o'clock at night, so I just screwed that up. So that will hopefully not happen again. And then last week I was in Orlando for Dev Intersection, made the same bonehead mistake, scheduled my flights over 4 o'clock. So we're working on that. Apparently I'm going to have somebody make my flights for me and make sure that I've not left by 4 or down there by 4. But that's what happened there. Dev Intersection was a great time. Loved that. Got to meet a few of you, hung out with some folks. Did 2 sessions on Tuesday, and then I had to whiz back. My family had tickets to the Blue Man Group here in Ames for Wednesday night, so I had to get back and see that. First time my kids have seen it, and it was a pretty good show, and I wasn't going to give that up. So that's where I was for last couple episodes, but I'm going to be here for a while, so you've got that to look forward to. But a big thanks to all the folks who ran Dev Intersection and all the folks, those of you that came to my sessions and gave me a shout out. I appreciate that. Hope you all had a good time. Okay, so first topic, next week, next Wednesday, on Star Wars Day, May the 4th, is the big Future of SharePoint event. And so when I was thinking about this, it's this live event, I just heard the old Saturday Night Live from San Francisco. It's the future of SharePoint. So anyway, this live event from San Francisco, Microsoft's putting it on. It's the coming out party for SharePoint 2016. It's called the Future of SharePoint. Now, the event in San Francisco is a closed event, and it's very hush-hush and all that. You can't just show up in San Francisco and get there. But I've got good news for those of us who, if you don't make the cut, and you can't be in San Francisco, you can sign up and watch it live. If you go to sharepoint.microsoft.com, you get bounced around a little bit, but then you end up on an Office page that has a registration, a free registration for the event, and so you can stream it. So that's all good. I love that technology, that everything's just available online, and this is available live. I love all that. So please sign up for that. You're going to love it. Now, I know what a bunch of you are saying. You're saying, May the 4th, Star Wars Day, fun day, but SharePoint 2016 has actually been out since Pi Day, March 14th, and there's nothing much to learn. Now, I will agree that on May the 4th, when you go to the Future of SharePoint event, there will be a lot of review. Jeff Teeper is going to be up there, and he's going to be talking about a lot of things that Microsoft has already talked about for SharePoint 2016, Office 365, and all that. But I promise you, if you watch the Future of SharePoint event on May 4th, you will find out new things. They've been keeping some things under their hat. They've not let the cat out of the bag, and I have run out of euphemisms for telling secrets, so I'll stop there. But there will be new things out there. You will be surprised. So sign up for that. Again, go to sharepoint.office or sharepoint.microsoft.com. Live event, the Future of SharePoint, and after some of that's come out, I'll have some blog posts on it. We can chat a little more intimately about it after it's happened, but that will be on May 4th. Sign up early, sign up often. Okay, the next thing is less a SharePoint thing and more just a general gadgety thing, and it's something I've been kind of sitting on for a while here, but I wanted to talk to you folks about it. A lot of you folks, especially the hooligans in the chat room, some other folks, you're like me, you like the gadgets, you like the things with the blue LEDs and the on-off switches, and so when I stumble across a new one of those things, I get all excited about it. I want to share it with y'all. My wife doesn't care, my kids don't care, my cats don't care, you guys care, and so I kind of want to share some of these things with you. So one of the newer things that I have acquired recently is this, an Amazon Echo Dot. Very slim, very svelte, very sexy. What is the Amazon Echo Dot? Well, a little over a year ago, Amazon came out with the Echo. And the Echo is a large cylindrical thing, sets on the counter, and it takes voice control. So a lot of people like to think of it as like Siri for your house. or Cortana for your house, or OK Google, or whatever. But it's a big speaker that for us sits in our kitchen, but I understand people have them all over their houses. But you just speak, and it's got a wake word. I will not say the wake word in case somebody listening to this has one of these. I will refer to her as she who shall not be named. But you say, she who shall not be named, what's the weather like today? And she'll tell you the weather. Or you can say, she who shall not be named, give me a flash briefing, which is way more family friendly than it sounds, but she gives you like the news for the day. And we use it for music. I've got all my music up in Amazon Music, so I can say, she who shall not be named, play Metallica. And she does. And so it's a great little tool. You can integrate it with your Google Calendar, so you can say, she who shall not be named, what's on my schedule today? You can use it for timers. So I use it a lot when I'm cooking, because anybody who's ever cooked mac and cheese or chicken nuggets knows there's a very time-sensitive piece in there. So I can say, she who shall not be named, set a timer for 15 minutes, and then she will do a thing. Great little device. When I got the email in January of last year to be put on the thing, I didn't end up getting it until April. I'm like, I don't know what I will ever use this dumb thing for, but it's cool. I use it every single day now. Every single day I use this thing. And it's a great device. One of the problems with it, though, is it's this huge cylinder that sits on your counter. And for people who have whole house audio or other things like that, it's kind of a mess to have this thing there too. So this year, Amazon came out with 2 new versions of the Echo. One of them is the aforementioned Echo Dot. And let me show you this little thing. It is so freaking adorable. It's like they took a regular Echo and they cut out the middle. So it's got the same top. It's got the volume control across the top where you can change the volume. It's got the mute button and power button if you need those. And it's got the bottom, you know, the part that gravity uses to hold it to your counter. It's got a little non-stick thing. It's got a power adapter or power plug and a headphone plug, but it's got no big speaker. The other one's got a big bass speaker in it. So the great news about this is if you don't use your Echo for music, if you just use it for news and all that kind of stuff, the built-in speaker to this is probably good enough, but doesn't take a lot of space. The other thing this little devil said, so now you have all the functionality of the huge Amazon Echo, but in this adorable little hockey puck-sized package. So I'm a big fan of the Echo Dot. Now this thing is only $90. As opposed to the full Echo, which is like 190, something like that. So it's pretty cool. If you have an Android phone or an iPhone, there's an app that you can use to control. Boy, love it. And I now just need to figure out what kind of speakers I'm going to set up with it and all that. But big fan of the Amazon Echo. So again, $90 if you go to Amazon. You can also go to toddklindt.com/get-echo-dot. And that will pop it over. So Dilkree in the chat room is asking, is the Echo speaker good for music? I was thinking about getting one for my mom so she can listen to music from Prime. I have the full Echo with the full speaker is absolutely great for music. I use it for music all of the time. All of the time. So this one is not so good for music. It will try. It will sound terrible, but the full Echo is great. And so it might work out for your mom, but it also works out for my kids. I've got little kids, and they have figured this whole thing out. Now, it can't quite understand all their voices, but for my older 2 kids, who are 8 and 5, they can walk over to it and say, she who shall not be named, play Meghan Trainor. Now, I don't encourage that kind of behavior in my house. Don't get me wrong, but they have figured it out. They probably heard about this from their friends at school or whatever, but they can absolutely control it, and it's easy for them to use. It would be easy for someone's mom to use. It would be easy for my mom to use. But yeah, if you get the full Echo, it's got a good speaker. Now, Daniel Glenn in the chat room is saying he has the other new version of the Echo. So there's the Echo Dot. At the same time they came out with the Dot, Amazon came out with the Echo Tap, which is another spin on the Echo. Think of the Echo Tap as a Bluetooth speaker, so just like any Bluetooth speaker you'd ever use that's portable and battery powered and all that, except it's got the Echo stuff built in. So it's got a button at the top that you have to tap. The Echo Dot and the regular Echo, you don't have to do anything. You just have to say the wake word. With the Tap, because it's battery powered and mobile, you have to tap the little button on top, but then you have all the same the same functionality. So that one's good if you're on the go or whatever. The great thing about this is since all this functionality is in the cloud, it continually gets better. So I've got the Echo and the Echo Dot now. They've added all kinds of music. They added Uber a while back, so you can order an Uber from your Echo. I've got some cheap home automation things, some Wemo boxes, W-E-M-O. And so I can go in there and I can say, she who shall not be aimed, turn on mood lighting, and my Wemo lights turn on. Your local unit has to do is just package up your speech, send it off to the cloud, and then they can add whatever functionality they want to it. Klindt.com/get-echo-dot, and I think you'll love it. I'm a big fan of mine. Another piece of fun technology news. As you guys know, I'm a big fan of the Windows 10. And last week or the week before, I forget, Microsoft started pushing out new updates to Windows 10. So they've been talking about for a while this anniversary edition of Windows 10 that's going to come out. Windows 10 came out last July of 2015. They've got a big rev coming in July of 2016, the anniversary edition. But if you're like me, and if you're listening to this podcast, you probably are, you're one of the insiders. You're one of the Windows insiders, and you probably got that slider all the way to the right, which for you guys is this way, on the fast ring. You want those builds as quick as you can get out, as you can get them. So the good news is there is a new insider fast ring build 14.3.28, and it is kind of the preview for this anniversary build. And there's a lot of big updates in it. Now I've got Windows 10 running on all but one of my systems here at home, and I think now is the time to do that upgrade. Windows 10 is here; it's good. And this build, and I've got them all on the fast ring too. 14.3.28 adds a lot of really great things. So if you've been thinking about getting on the insiders, and you just have to go into your settings in Windows 10, go to updates, and there's a thing in there how to get advanced builds. You can sign up for it. Everybody can get in and all that. A bunch of great functionality has been added to this build. Now, I've got a list of the things that I like, but this is not by any means a comprehensive list, but it's just the things that I've started using since I got this new build. One of them is Microsoft has the Windows snapshot images that show up on the lock screen, and I love those images. I've probably downloaded 200 of them, and I've got a TV over here that scrolls through them. Love those snapshot images, really high res, high quality pictures, love those. Now there's an option to tell Windows to use that same background as your login screen. So the lock screen background is the same as the login screen, whereas before it went to the Windows 10 thing. Again, just an option. If you like the old one, you can keep it that way. They've moved the notification center. That icon now is to the right of the clock. Used to be to the left of the clock. It is now all the way to the lower right-hand corner, and if you have multiple notifications, it gives you a little number, lets you know. And they've done a good job in pulling out some of the duplicate notifications that are in there too. So that's a good change. I like that. They made a change to the right side. To counter that out, they had to make a change to the left side. So now on the left side of the start, little start button thing there are icons, dedicated icons for things you always go to, like settings, file explorer, things like that. Those are now icons on the left, so now you don't have to hit the thing and all apps and try to find file explorer on the left. It's already there. And let me show you what that looks like. I've got a bunch of these guys. So let's oh, that's awesome. I just wanted to show it to you and it crashed. I just went to log in and show you how awesome the new build is, and a critical process died. That is awesome. Live demos are the best. Okay, so you'll have to take my word for it. On the left, you've got File Explorer and settings and all that. And you can control where those show up also. Another nice feature that they've added to the lock screen is Cortana. Now there's a place on the lock screen you can tap and give Cortana instructions, and that's a very nice thing. One of the biggest things, I use Windows 10. I got a bunch of tablets, more on that coming up in a minute, but I've got a bunch of tablets, and one of the things that existed in Windows 8 and 8.1 but has not existed in 10 is when you're in tablet mode, the all apps grid view. So just filling your screen full of apps as opposed to having have to hit the old apps and scroll down them. So they've added that. That is an option now, return of the grid view. And if my tablet boots back up, I will show it to you. So that's one that I really like as a tablet owner. Another option that they've added, if you're a person who has multiple monitors like I have, they have an option now for having the clock on all of the monitors. Previous to this build, the clock only showed up on whichever monitor was monitor 1. Now you have the option of having it in the corner of all of them. And finally, here's one that I agree needed to be fixed, but I can never keep track of where it's at. When you're in the notification area, so let me make sure there's nothing personal on here. Nope, there's not. When you're in the personalization area here, if you tap Wi-Fi, previously when you tapped Wi-Fi, it shut Wi-Fi off, which is never what anybody wanted to do. They always wanted to adjust Wi-Fi and join, and you had to hold down for that. Now it's back to if you tap it, it will take you to the settings. And you can see here on the left, let me move so I can actually see my screen. You can see those dedicated buttons for File Explorer and settings. Now this is funny, I used this earlier, and the File Explorer button is that one that looks like a folder. So I was all excited, and I tapped it, and I don't know if this one will do it. No, it's so it brings you up to File Explorer. But the first time you use it, you tap it, File Explorer comes up, and then the Windows Insider Hub thing kicks off and asks you a survey question. And the survey question is, what was your experience like accessing File Manager, or File Explorer, because it's the new way? And my first thought was, it was pretty good until this damn survey took it away. So when you do that for the first time, when you hit that, expect to get a glimpse of File Explorer and then have it yanked away while they ask you how you feel about File Explorer. Can't win them all, but I told them that that I liked it, so that's there. So if you have a Windows 10 box, go ahead, join the Insiders. Again, it's free. You just need to have a Microsoft login and get yourself on the fast ring. If you bring a machine onto the Insider ring, a new machine, it's going to take a little while, like an hour and a couple of reboots for that to hold jiggle free, but then you're just going to go to settings, updates, and check for updates, and it will be there. Now, as I told you, I have updated a bunch of my tablets. I have a bunch of these small tablets, and I'm noticing that this upgrade has been tough. So a couple of the hallmarks of these crappy cheap tablets that I have is 1 gig of RAM, which really isn't enough anymore for Windows 10. There's just too many things going on. The ones with 2 gig of RAM are making it. 4 gig is a better spot, but 1 gig is really, so if you bought any of those, the 1 gig ones like the Winbook are really, really struggling. The second thing is some of these cheap tablets have 16 gig of storage, and I'm having a tough time as it brings down the update, find enough room, so I've been having to be very diligent about that. You do have an option for having it download the temporary files to a storage card. All of my devices have storage cards, but it still needs some space to work, and these C drives that are 16 gig, you lose a little and it ends up being 13 or 14 gig of usable space. Been pretty painful. So one of the things that I've done is you can run disk cleanup, and this is a utility that's been in Windows forever. So I normally just go to the start thing, disk cleanup. When you type it in, or however you find it, here's a pro tip. Don't just run disk cleanup. Hold down and run it as an administrator. And when you run disk cleanup as an administrator, it's going to come up in your little dialog box, not a Metro app, unfortunately. But if you run it as an administrator, then it's going to let you clean other things like previous OS installations, things like that. And that frees up a lot of space. Those, especially if you're on the Insider builds and you're getting those all the time, that frees up 2 or 3 gig at a shot. Not a big deal if you're on a regular machine, but on these little tablets, it makes a big difference. So try that out. That's been the only thing that's helped me get a couple of these, and I've still got a couple that are fighting me. They can't quite get the download and the space and all that at the same time. And I've got one over here which has the download and needs to restart, except it can't. First time I've ever gotten this dialog box. We're having trouble restarting to finish this install. So I don't know what's going on there. But again, that's one of the cheap ones, so hopefully you won't have that problem. Now, speaking of cheap little tablets, for a while there, a couple of years ago, I was on a real tear buying these tablets. I got a couple of the Dell ones, I got a Winbook, I got the Toshiba one, I got the Best Buy one. I bought a bunch of these tablets, and it was a lot of fun. But then some friends sat me down and they talked to me about this, and they said, you've got an awful lot of tablets. And I'm like, I really don't have that many. And I believe that Joanne Klein made me count them once, and I think the count of crappy little tablets was 7, maybe. Now, there's a lot of reasons for that. Some were white, and some had micro HDMI, and some did not. And every one of those, each of the 7 tablets had a special place in my heart. But there was an intervention staged, and I quit buying tablets for a while. And I've been really good. It's been a year or more since I've bought a cheap, crappy little Windows tablet until last week. I fell off the wagon last week. It's all Paul Thrott's fault. He posted, he tweeted a link last week to some really cheap, crazy Chinese tablets on geekbuying.com, and in a moment of weakness, I did it. I bought myself a tablet. Now, I know what you're saying. You've already got a bunch of tablets. Why do you need more tablets? Why does the sun shine? Why is water wet? I see no reason to question any of this. The tablet that I bought purely for academic purposes. My intentions are pure. This tablet has many very curious aspects to it that I wanted to investigate, and that is why I came out of retirement and bought another cheap, crappy Windows tablet. So, why did I break down and buy this tablet? Number one, the big reason was it is a dual OS tablet. So this tablet runs Windows 10 and Android 5.1. So I'm just kind of curious about that whole melding of things, because we all know with Windows devices there are some Android apps we don't have, like the piloting app for my drone. There's only an Android and an iOS version. There's not a very good Windows version. It's there, but it's not good. So I was sort of curious about the dual OS-ness of this device. That was kind of the main thing. It's got an 8-inch screen, which is kind of the same size as a bunch of these other ones, but that 8-inch screen has a resolution of 1920 by 1200, which is pretty rocking for an 8-inch screen. And you're probably thinking to yourself, you're not going to notice that on an 8-inch screen. Probably true, but it has a micro HDMI connector on it, and it also does the Wi-Fi, all those kind of things too. So I was kind of curious. It's got a little better CPU and chipset than my existing crappy little tablets. They all have the Intel Atom Z 3735 or 3537, whatever they have. This has the newer chipset in it, the Z 8300. So I kind of want to feel how that, see how that feels. And one thing that I'm kind of curious about is this does not have a micro USB charger on it. It has a USB Type-C charger, so that's what the new things are going to. And I remember years ago when everybody kind of standardized on micro USB, everybody but Apple. I remember thinking that it was great. I loved that because I didn't worry about buying Motorola chargers and LG chargers. And then I started using micro USB chargers a lot, and what I discovered is they are really, really fragile. I've had multiple devices in my house that I can't charge anymore because the USB port on the device just can't hold up. Just as, the solder has broken free and all that. So I'm curious how this USB Type-C connector holds out. So that is why I bought it. Hopefully I will have it in the next week or so. Daniel Glenn in the chat room says 32 gig is too small. I completely agree. And I'm also curious how that's going to work, with part of that being Windows and part of that being Android. But the company that makes this, Chewy, which not only is it an adorable character in Star Wars, but also apparently a tablet manufacturer, I'm glad to see that Chewy's found some work outside of just being a pirate and stealing things in space. It's always good to have a backup plan. Diversification is good. So I'm curious how all that works, but Chewy didn't have any models that had more than 32 gig of storage, so I couldn't really do much about that. But we'll see. That's one of the things that I'm going to do for you is take that hit, find out how 32 gig scales, so I can report back to all of you and let you know how much I love Chewy and his new tablet. Okay. Almost done. We're on the home stretch here, folks. For shameless self-promotion, I will be speaking at the Oklahoma City SharePoint users group. I was originally going to do that next Wednesday, but I got busy on that day. I can't do that, so hopefully I will be doing that sometime in June. Bruce has been very understanding about that, so hopefully they won't kick me out. But you can go to sug-web.sharepoint.com and find out about that. But when I do that, I'll be speaking about using PowerShell with Office 365, Azure, those kind of things. And then in June 27th is SP TechCon out in Boston. You can go to sptechcon.com and find out all about that. I'll be out there spreading the love, talking about Azure Active Directory and SharePoint and hybrid and how to get all that set up, and then also doing the SharePoint online and PowerShell sessions. So great stuff. Got a couple of things coming down the pike that I will talk about here when they're solidified, but those are the ones for now. So thanks, everybody. The chat room, you guys were very patient with me today. I had a rough start, had to reboot, had to swear at my computer and all of that. But we got everything up and going, so thanks. Stick around in the chat room. I'll be around for a while, and I will see you all next week for podcast 291. Don't forget to sign up for that future SharePoint event. You won't regret it. Thanks. See you next week.